Hi everyone, welcome back. Entry to IT, day 2. First session of day 2, but overall we did 2 sessions yesterday, and we covered very fundamental concepts regarding Google Documents and Google Sheets. Google Document as a representation of Microsoft Word, a cloud-based version that brings a lot more collaborative benefits over a period of time. But what we focused is, as part of our entry into the IT industry, the component which is called as documentation is very critical. Now, you would notice there are multiple types of documentations that can get created, but the structure, the style in which they're done and maintained are pretty much have some specific standards. Any issue with my audio breaking out, team? I just got a pop-up saying that there may be degraded audio. Okay, cool. Live should be okay then. Now, we spoke about how to create a document, align it correctly, use some right color combinations. What can we do towards the header of it? How can we create a footer, put whatever information we want, be able to count the pages in it. We also looked at how we can nicely arrange things like bullet points. We did write down a few of the additional things that we want to cover, like table of content, inserting images inside your content within the within the document itself. How do we align it correctly? How do we wrap the image around the text? So these things will become very important to you. This is your constant tool for communication. So you will need to know how to maintain clarity in your thought and put them in a very structured manner. And that is how you're going to be able to present it. A lot of times these documentations are self-reading. You're not walking a human through this document. You're basically passing this document on, and they are able to read them at their end. So we focused on just the essence of how we maintain good clarity visually and in a very nice presentation manner in a Google document. Google document helps to really look at content in a flat way, just basic static content that is used for good amount of information sharing. Then we went into our Excel sheets. And here, I think we've taken that leap where we spoke about data, information as data, which has got some significance depending on what it is showing. So we again focused on the aspects of the importance of aesthetics. How do we maintain a certain set of standard color combinations and so on? And if you think sometimes red or pinkish colors are loud, you switch it. Orange is fairly well recognized as well. Something subtle that focuses our attention on quickly being able to grasp information. So as soon as I look at it, I know, okay, iTeLearn, name, student ID, fees paid. This column will have names, this column has the student ID and the fees that they have paid. And I can scroll down and still see these lines, first 2 rows being frozen. So these details of how we create such a Excel sheet or a Google spreadsheet is what we discussed in the session 2 in day 1. I definitely want you all to go back and look at it if you have missed it, so you get a flow of where we're going next. We also spoke very briefly on how we can generate diagrams that explain the whole data instead of as a numbers, as a picture. Here we have something called as a bar graph. We have our x-axis, y-axis, same data that is represented as, let me use some drawings now. Same data that we represented in tabular format, we are representing it as a graph format. It visually gives us decision-making skills. It tells us how we can look at the performance of any process. At this time, team, any questions from your end? Anyone? Before we go on to something even more basic, I'm going to be talking about what really is a business, where does IT come in, how do we structure things around it. So I'm quickly going to jot down what we're going to talk about. Day 2 session 3. This is going to be bullet points. I'm just going to number them. Let me zoom it also. It's visible for you all. Okay. There was a quick question on where the recorded videos are. Team, there are only two places you'll find it. Either go to iTeLearn.com or go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/UTP-elearn. You would find all our latest videos getting uploaded there. If you have not subscribed, do subscribe. You'll get your notification when the videos are uploaded. All right? Cool. Let's go back now. Into session 3. Okay. Let's talk about where typically world of business in general, right? What happens in business, types of businesses, and we will also talk about where does IT get applied. Team, I lost audio connection for a couple of seconds. It's come back. I don't know if it's a Wi-Fi issue, if I'm far away from the main source. If it happens again, I'll move to a different room. So where does IT get applied in real world? All right. This is some kind of a very high level overview about industries, businesses in general. Then quickly I want to talk about specific to IT. What is information technology? And to understand this, we need to talk about very fundamentals, where it all starts from a pain or a problem or a requirement. And we will talk about how that gets translated into understandable requirement. Okay, and then comes the process of development. When I'm talking about development, it is entire thing. We'll talk about SDLC. We'll talk about very briefly waterfall and agile briefly, so you get the basic concepts about it. Once we understand this, then we can figure out where testing and QA comes in. Process of manual testing and how to move, how and why to move to automation testing. These fundamentally are what I'm going to be focusing on for the next few hours, team. Any questions? Anyone having an issue with my screen or audio? Okay, great. So I'll keep continuing. If there's any hiccups, please let me know. There's someone else also joined from these, I think it's Venkat and team from the Midpet office. So that's good. All right, great. So let's talk about a business in general, team. What is a business? Why is it that we even have come this far? To understand, let's talk about it in a diagrammatic format. I'll try and my level best to draw. Choose pen color. I'm gonna take maybe a red color or a blue is fine. I think it all started with a point where the humans needed some kind of a layer in between to make things happen. All right. This basically transactions like a barter system where we wanted to be able to give something that we have and be able to take something back in return. Now, to make such simple kind of communication deals happen, we could look at opportunists who made this process easier. At any given time, things have never started without some pain in it, some kind of a issue in how things are happening in the current world. And then comes an idea, hey, why can't we develop something? So businesses have been built on the principle of doing two things: providing something of value for a set of marketplace. You can classify businesses primarily into two kind of organizations. The first is a product-based company. The next is a service-based company. All right. Now, what is the primary difference in this? Let's understand using an example. If you look at Apple as an organization, it primarily sells products, be it its iPhone or MacBooks or Apple TVs and so on. Physical devices that customers purchase and take it home or take it to their usage and start using. Same are like car manufacturing companies. They are developing products. They're building a certain product for a marketplace. A service-based organization is basically saying that I'm going to service either your products that are there or help you to manage your specific needs. What could be a service-based organization team? Just think of different service-based organizations that come to your mind. What could be it? Anyone? I told you a product-based company is something like an Apple and so on. What could be a service-based organization? Team? Insurance? Yeah. But insurance, they sell it as a product still, and sometimes there's not a clear differentiation. Companies like maybe your Netflix or your internet provider, or companies who come and do, let's say, your housekeeping, or who do your construction job, or do your moving. These are all services where there's a human involved or a system and a process involved. So at a high level, you have businesses that provide this kind of a service between either two humans or two groups by giving products or by providing services. And against this, they start to collect transaction fees or start making product profits. Now, this is the crux of how things have started. When we wanted to do any kind of a business, the basic information that we will require, what do they require, team? They require information on, so we spoke a little bit about types of businesses, right? Now we're getting into where does it get, IT get into businesses. The first and foremost thing, it is all about making money, generating wealth for the organization, the end business, right? Now the wealth has to be measured. If it is not measured, we never know how much we really made, and we want to be able to constantly grow faster and bigger. That is pretty much what keeps driving businesses. Now, to measure what wealth they have, the minimum things that they need to do is sales. Then they also need to look at cost. Then they can come up with profit. Now, these three main components build up anything to do with measuring how businesses are performing. Now, sales per day, sales per month or quarter or per year, or how is cost and so on. We are able to now at least put them there. When we want to grow faster and bigger, we need to analyze this data. To be able to analyze this data, you need to first be able to look at data as a trend, then data from the competitors, and data that stays as variables. Right? Let me just quickly explain what I mean, team. The first portion of the business is to set up things, make money, and know how much we're making. And within that, there are lots of permutations and combinations, and it can get very complex. But these three are fundamental basics. Now we need to grow. We need to be able to take this company to the next level. For that, we need to understand data as a trend. What do I mean? See, for example, yesterday we were looking at analyzing certain information, right? Let me unfreeze, unhide this. Okay, I think we have it in the other sheet. There you go. Now, in this, we've also applied filters. I'm gonna select all of them back and say, okay. So I have all my rows now, my whole content is there. Now, what is the analysis that I wanna do in a smart way for me to make my business grow faster, further? Let us say my average of US is lower, but my average fee for a student from UK is higher. Then that means okay, you know what? I'll make more money if I attract more customers from UK. To be able to, where are we here? Understand the data in a more intelligent manner based on previous performances. So we know that, hey, previously during this season it works well. This country is very good. Most of the customers are 30 years between the range of 30 to 35. So that demographics, that separation, that is the first thing that the data is requiring. I'm getting to where it will touch IT team. Okay, so we're still talking about what is making sense for people in books, physical books, not even yet onto a computer system. This could be anything. This could be demographics, location, gender-based, age, habits, so many things, right, etc. How we can look at a trend and be able to make smart decisions. Competitors, not only do we try and look at our own business, but we look at how we compare with others, and what does it show us? What does it and how does it affect our vision? So all this from a business and a corporate perspective. They want to grow, they want to be able to understand not only internally how good the product or service is, but also they want to understand how they compare with others. What can we do better? What if that competitor comes and takes away my customers? How do we rectify? So these fears, these data points will keep getting as inputs for business decisions team. Now, what are variables? Data that stays as variables. Things that can loosely be controlling our business, sometimes fully controlling out of hands. This could be anything to do with disaster recovery planning, business continuation planning, where you have to move. There's power outages, there's a political outage, there is a national calamity, all the way from there to simple things like what happens if an employee takes a leave? What happens if we are unable to hire people at the right time? all these challenges are then put into multiple variables to be analyzed. Some of the largest organizations go extremely deep into this, and they apply the skills of artificial intelligence and machine learning, where these things are smartly looking at data by itself and predicting trends, saying that, okay, now we suggest that you start selling Apple phones more in China market. That is where the next trend is. To be able to make these intelligent decisions, this analysis is required. On a paper, using a pen or a pencil, or on a computer using a spreadsheet. Now that is where IT comes in. Sorry, okay. All with me, team, so far? Now, where does IT come in? So out here, IT makes the above two extremely easy to manage. Look at a simple company team where there are 3 levels, all right? 3 levels only. There is a CEO, all right? There is a manager, and there's a sales staff, okay? Multiple sales guys. I'll call this, there's only one CEO, there's one manager, but there, let's say 3 sales staff members, and this is the second salesperson, okay? Now, what does the salesperson have to do? One has to sell, right? This person has to first sell and make dollars. If he's selling and making dollars is a sufficient team, he has to then update that data, that information back to his manager in a way that is understandable for him to begin with. And then that information has to go back to the CEO, okay, where the CEO can then see that my sales guy 1 made so much, my salesperson 2 made so much, and my sales lady 3, she made so much in a given day as a sales, okay? Each of the sales members may not be aware of their own others' performances. So S1 is not aware of S2, S3, but then the manager needs to know everything and the CEO needs to know everything. So the job of a typical business has stopped long being just simple where you sell it, come and give me the money. I want to know exactly how many did you sell, at what price, at what margins, how did it happen? That visibility for the CEO is the only way through which he or she is able to grow this organization. Now, if I have to physically pass this using a paper and a pen every day, it takes compiling time, and that is where information starts coming very strongly into Excel sheets. All this data that we want to really look at and be able to use to make businesses better is all primarily present in spreadsheets. And they'll stop somewhere, and then comes the applications. Let's briefly talk about what kind of an applications are built. Let's talk about what we have and what can happen. So to maintain information on sales, okay, how business is doing, and information that can make analysis easy, what can we use, team, of what we know so far? All right. So to be able to handle both information and information about the currency that is being made, an Excel sheet is primarily more than sufficient. Okay, an Excel sheet is more than sufficient. Now, then why is it that we going all the way to applications that are either, how do I put it, desktop based or web based? Why are we then going from an Excel to desktop based and web based applications which are providing something additional. Otherwise, there's no point in switching, correct? So the simple information that I wanted to, okay, I can't erase this. Where was I? Was talking about, I wanted to go to this Excel here, right? Now look at this spreadsheet. Please ignore the drawing in the background, in the foreground for some time. I could very nicely put the structure, and where is my graph? It's not here. Maybe I deleted it. Is there a graph here? There it is. I could structure things in a place where it is giving me visible clarity, right? I can write down all my sales. I can see what it is being done. But then starts a few challenges. One, what could those challenges be? That we are having to look beyond an Excel sheet and go to applications. I'm able to draw now. I wish I had a better pen. Okay, now the first is privacy team. You don't want S1 to see S2. Sales 1 cannot see sales 2. I want information. If I'm the CEO, I want only specific visibility. I want to make business strategy decisions, and I don't want them to know each and everything because it has to go from my mouth. So I need to know the privacy is getting affected. The second thing is these are still physically stored as files. Okay, so I can't share or collaborate on them very easily. I cannot share or collaborate on them very easily. Third is, as it gets more complex, I need to be able to make better sense of this data team. And that is where comes a little bit of RDBMS or any kind of a database management. What is RDBMS in general? Relationship Database Management. I don't think as part of this we will be able to cover much, but I'll see if I can do at least 1 hour session sometime on databases in general. All right, I'm taking time to write this. Sorry. All right, so what was he saying? Privacy, where information has to be shown only to relevant people. I don't want to be able to do it. And then being able to share and collaborate with every employee in the organization. And then we are talking about complexities where we are saying, hey, if there are rules, this becomes basically something called as business rules and engineering. This kind of simple challenges make us push to applications. What are applications? We saw Excel. Now we're talking about applications team. Applications basically do a very simple thing. Okay, I wish I had a mouse which was hands-free because I could have drawn so quickly. Okay, remember these 3 layers. This is desktop and web-based application, but whatever be the application, there are primarily 3 layers to it. All right, let me put this maybe Google. Google erase this. So I'll continue on this. Let me take a different. Okay. Any questions? Okay. 3 layers team. I'm just gonna draw a simple table and put 2. What are these 3 layers? What do you think? It is basically how we look and how we try and understand data. Okay, this is basically your database layer where your raw data will get stored, like our Excel. Oh, sorry. There you go. Okay, this is my database layer. So my data will get stored out here, team. Then comes something called as a business or a rules layer. Okay, which talks about how I want this data to be presented. My business rules. It's usually sometimes called as business rules engine. To look at it may look very complicated, team, but as we keep developing, we should be able to do much better on it. So this business rules engine tells how this data should get processed. Let me give you an example. Okay, this business rules engine will tell me that only a manager can see and the CEO can see every sales guy's performance. It also tells me that any sales guy can only see his or her performance. Others cannot see it. Business rule also will tell me that if any user signs in with an incorrect password, a message comes saying, please enter the right password, or go and recover password by clicking on forgot password. It will also tell me that if I log into an application, it will show me information relevant to me rather than relevant to someone else. That all that logic is put into business rules engine team. That is your middle layer. Now comes your top layer, which is nothing but a presentation layer, which what we call in other terms as UI/UX. UI is user interface team. Okay, user interface is basically how things look, how and where a button is, where a text box is, where an image is, and so on. That is your user interface. UX is user experience, how a user feels when working on that application. Is it too much of a pain for the user to navigate that application, or is it very comfortable? That is what the user experience is all about. Two different things. And I'll keep talking about these very, very often, team. So now these three are the fundamental building blocks of any application, team. There is some amount of information at the back end that needs to be understood in the right way. That's your middle layer. And then presented to the right audience using a front end. So it's displayed on my computer. Now, how do I want it to be displayed on my computer, team? Very simple. You have a desktop option and then you have a web-based option. What is the difference? Any application that you download, install, and run on your machine locally, okay, that application itself is residing on your computer, is a desktop application. You have got it down and you're using it. Give me some examples of a desktop application. A notepad is a desktop application. A Microsoft Excel is a desktop application. Eclipse is a desktop application. Java, JIRA is also a desktop application. Everything goes onto the desktop. Now, what is the other type? MS Office is a desktop application. All this, your games that you install on your machine. Now, what are web-based applications? Similar applications that solve the same purpose of data being understood in the right business logic and presented can be there in desktop, or it can also be there in the web. When we say on the web-based applications, basically on the cloud. It is hosted somewhere and you constantly go and look at it there. It is very temporarily there on your machine. What is the primary differences, advantages, and all that? Let's not get into that depth, but understand the basic difference. So your Gmail, your Amazon.com, any website that you visit is all a web-based application. It's on the web. And even if you talk about a mobile application, mobile-based applications, they're still cloud-based related or native. So that we will talk when we talk a little bit about mobile applications. But do you understand the basic logic, team? Excel provides data. It doesn't give me opportunity for privacy or collaborating or how to handle complexities and business rules. And that is why it comes in need for developing them. And there are two types of applications, either desktop or web-based applications. Any questions so far, please? Your Google Drive is also a web-based application. Yep. Anything that we go on the web, internet, is a web-based application. Okay, great. I'm going to quickly erase this drawing, team, and go back to a few more important concepts. Now you understood, right? I didn't document it, but I'm assuming that you got the crux. Go back, look at the video, maybe look at that image, take a screenshot and put it as your notes team. Now comes, what is information technology? It is basically a constant thought process among stakeholders to improve business. Right? Why is it giving me red underline, auto correction? Let's see. And team, if you've noticed, a lot of times in this document, you wouldn't see many red underlines, like the English is correct. If there is one, let's see what it suggests. Stakeholders is one word. That's why I think it's suggesting. Stake. Yeah, stake is also a word. Holders, I don't think is a word by itself in dictionary, but it wanted both the words together. So good. Now, what are we trying to say, team? Why is it that even there's a pain or a problem or a requirement that comes up? Why does it happen? The whole point is that the businesses have a hunger, have a passion to grow and improve. Remember this, team, always. So if this basic concept sticks with you, when you become a team member in an IT organization, your understanding level of how your job affects the top and bottom line of the company will be easily shown on your face. And that people love, believe me, when they see that, oh, they're very much about the company. Now, those people who are consistently thinking, who have some kind of a stake in the organization. Stake does not mean that I've invested money. Even if I'm spending a regular 9 to 5, 8 hours a day shift, I'm still investing my sweat equity. So people who are putting the sweat and into their work that builds the business, they become the stakeholders, and they're constantly thinking, right from the smallest role in the organization is at a junior level to the CEO, they would be thinking, how should I do my job better? That's where comes the pain. That's where it comes that, hey, I need to understand why is this pain there? Why should I solve it first? If I solve the pain or the problem, what is it that we get? Now we will talk about taking an example of a pain and understanding how we process it, how we build a workflow for a solution and try and implement it. Okay, we will then talk about manual testing and automation testing. Any questions? If not, I want to take a 10 minutes break and reconnect at 9:15 a.m. as the ISTT. We're going to go deeper into how we translate this to understand SDLC-Waterfall Agile, how this whole process happens, how do we get into testing. But let me take an example of a pain, a problem statement that we will go through that process. All right. All right, great. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you back in 15 minutes. Same link, just join back at 9:15 a.m. IST, please. That would be 7:45 p.m. Pacific, right? I think so. All right, 15 minutes from now. Thank you all. See you again.